Hi, my name's Isaac, and this is a brand new 2023 Honda Accord Hybrid Sport. And today, I'm gonna review it for you guys. From tuners to both sets of my grandparents, everybody seems to love the Honda Accord. Heck, even Jesus and his disciples were all in one accord. Okay, that's what we in the business call eisegesis, but it does make for a little cute joke. My point being that the Honda Accord has always been incredibly popular with pretty much every demographic, and today I'd like to show you guys why. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Jones Honda in Lancaster, Pennsylvania for allowing me to borrow this vehicle. For all your Honda needs, I'll leave a link to their website in the description below. For 2023, the Honda Accord has been newly redesigned with a much more subdued overall exterior. It's not as sharp and angular as the outgoing model, and I think that actually benefits the car greatly. It looks a lot more sleek in my opinion, especially in the front here. It kind of gives me Ford Taurus vibes, I'm not gonna lie, but I like it. You'll have full LED headlights up here, LED daytime running lights, and then your Honda badge right here is going to be a sensor for the included safety package, and that works in tandem with a camera up at the top of the windshield. Moving underneath the hood in the Accord Hybrid, this is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder, making 146 horsepower and 134 pound-feet of torque. That is paired to a 2-speed, continuously variable automatic transmission. Also, the EPA estimates for this are 46 city, 41 highway. Moving to the profile of the Accord, starting right here, you'll have a badge on either side saying Accord, and then down here, moving to the wheels and tires, you'll have 235 40R tires around these 19-inch wheels. They look especially good on this Sport, and then you'll have black accented mirror caps right here with blind spot monitoring incorporated into it. This does have keyless entry. And then as we move down the profile of the car, you can just see how sleek it looks. I know I compared it to a Taurus a little earlier, but honestly, as we come around the rear, it almost has the profile of an Audi, which again, isn't a bad thing. It's a very sleek looking car, and is definitely a departure from the outgoing model. As we move back here, you'll see you have a hybrid Sport badge, Accord right here, and then a backup camera with a blacked out Honda logo. And then this is the HPD badge. I'm pretty sure this stands for Honda Performance Division, though you still can't convince me that this isn't an over-the-counter prescription drug you'd get from Walgreens to treat, I don't know, like bee stings. I just feel like I can hear the commercial. If you've been stung by a bee and it's still puffy, get HPD. Anyway, you'll have a little lip spoiler right here, blacked out. Again, very cool on the Sport. Then here is your key fob, lock, unlock, and your remote start, as well as the ability to pop the trunk. Now, of course, you can pop the trunk from the button right up there too, and you'll have a ton of room back here. And then you also have the ability to drop the second row seats, so you can have a larger pass through. For example, if you want to get a TV in here. Though, the way that this curves, I don't know if you would be able to fit a TV in here. I used to work a retail job where I was fitting a lot of TVs into a lot of tiny cars, and this would be tight. This would be tight, other than something like maybe a 50-inch, maybe a 55 would fit in here, but that would be close. So just in case you're watching this video with the sole express intent of wondering if you could fit a 55-inch TV in here one time to bring to your house, tentatively you could. Moving to the interior of the Accord Sport, I think one of the main contributing factors to the Accord being so popular is because it's simple in here. It's very straightforward. It has some good technology. It might not have the most premium stuff, but it still does feel incredibly comfortable and simple. I think a lot of people really like simple. Also, it does this when you unlock the car and open the door. That's so nice. What a neat little sound as it boots itself up. It makes you feel peaceful. And I really appreciate that little attention to detail. Now, as we turn the car on, I'm going to turn Michael Jackson down, and we'll talk about some of the features here on the interior. Starting here with the door panel, it is soft touch down here. You have one touch down, one touch up for the front windows, but the rears you have to hold. Then you'll have your mirror controls right here, and then your just really, really cool climate vents. I love the design here. I recently reviewed a Mazda CX-30 that kind of tried to do the same continuous climate vent design here, though they did not pull it off as well as Honda does. Obviously, this middle section is not a giant climate vent for the passenger. It is kind of a dummy, and they hide that pretty well, but they make the continuous flow just make this feel like a little bit of a luxury car interior, and I really appreciate that. And then if we move into the fully digital gauge cluster screen right here, you can see as I spin this little wheel on the steering wheel, you can adjust different things, your Bluetooth, your USB, and there is a different wheel on the other side to adjust things like your power and your gauges. A lot of customization here, which I appreciate seeing on a fully digital gauge cluster. You don't see that with the smaller ones and the traditional tachometers. There's a lot more customization here. Then you'll have paddle shifters down there and your traditional stalks for your wipers and your lights. And then this is interesting, so just turning the vehicle off for a moment, you can see it lights up white when you hit power, and then it goes red when we've actually turned on. I really like that. And as you can hear, as I've turned it on, it is silent because of that hybrid system. Eventually, like a minute ago, the engine will kick in, and you'll hear that definitively, but very silent start. And so to tell if it's on, it says ready right there in the gauge cluster. And then if we move over here to the infotainment screen, I really like this. It almost reminds me, in a very strange way, like the Nintendo Wii. It's kind of like a Nintendo Wii. So if I hit these buttons here, it's got this almost computer clicking sound between the different menus, and it just reminds me like of the Wii. I don't know if the Wii used a similar thing. It's very peaceful, and it's very intuitive. Again, very simple, and that's what people like about the Accord and the Civics and stuff. Just very straightforward layout. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are included on this, though this particular one you do need to plug it in. It is not wireless, but really intuitive. And I love this, that they have a traditional volume knob. I like that I like to imagine at least that they put this screen in and they were like, oh shoot, we don't have a traditional volume knob, and people got really mad at us last time we didn't have that. Put it right there. And so they kind of plucked this on in kind of a strange position. You could argue it's some sort of artsy choice, but I'm gonna guess more likely it is just a kind of a strange placement for it, and more of an afterthought, but it still works, and I appreciate that they have that. Personally, for me, I do most of my voluming from the steering wheel if the vehicle has steering wheel controls. And then if we move down here, you'll have your hazard button, and then your climate controls right here. This is all digital, so you can adjust that, and you can adjust the different modes here. You can see that changes, and the strength of the air is on that little dial, and it is dual zone, which is nice. USB and USB-C right here, and then you do have a wireless charger. A little bit of a slow charger, I will admit, because my phone just died before I was doing this interior segment, and I threw it on here. It took a little bit to bring it back. But of course, if you have a cord in here, you can charge it a little bit faster. Traditional shifter right here. If we throw this into reverse, you can see there is a pretty decently sized backup camera here with pretty good quality, and that does give us the option to zoom in a little bit on this if we want. So there's a little bit of play right there. There is guiding lines that turn with the screen. I think this is funny. The screen for the backup camera does not take up the entirety of the infotainment screen, so it just kind of has a little logo of a camera on the side there. They're like, camera. I am imagining that's probably where the 360-degree camera would display on higher trim models. Anyway, putting this into park there, you will have your drive mode selector right here. That will appear in the gauge cluster, and that's actually going to change a little bit of the layout of the gauge cluster. So as, for example, I do sport, you can see it changes on the screen here. Now we're in sport, we have a little red accent on that screen, and if I put it in econ, it's going to give us, the green. We have the green car, we got the grass, and then it gives us a little bit of that green accenting there as well. Then you have your EV button right here. You can switch between auto and EV, your electronic parking brake, and your brake hold right there, as well as 2 cup holders. And then opening this up, you're going to have a 12-volt outlet in there and a decent amount of storage. These seats are comfortable. They are cloth on this sport trim. Nothing to definitely write home about, but the power lumbar support is really nice. They are power in the front here. Up, down, forward, backward, at least for the driver. The passenger side is manual over here, but it's still a nice inclusion to have that on the driver's side. Then up here you have a traditional sunroof with the controls for that and your SOS emergency right there. And you'll have a little nice sunglasses holder. Look at that little nice sunglasses holder. Yeah, nice sunroof. Let's take a quick look at the back seats. Moving to the back seats, I don't do a lot of sedans, so this is fun to sit in the back seats. This is about where I'd have my seat. I have about 3 inches of legroom, so pretty decent back here, and then maybe 1.5 inches or 2 of headroom. I am close to 5'10", and I sit very comfortably back here. Now, I would probably slouch a little bit more. That probably would give me a little less legroom, but a little bit more headroom. Classic long road trip, back of the car slouch, and then one of the benefits is you do that back of the car slouch. This has an armrest that folds down, so you can get 2 armrests and you can kind of just doze off, which I imagine is probably a very unhealthy way to sleep, but I think we do that more often than we'd like to let on. Here in your center armrest here, you have 2 cup holders, but it is fairly sparse back here on the Sport. No climate vents or anything else apart from these. You do get some more cup holders down here, and of course your windows. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And it is hard touch plastic back here on the doors. This is a leatherette material, so this is softer to rest your arm, but it's not the same material that's up front. Sneaky. A lot of car manufacturers do that for the back seats. But overall, it feels pretty open back here. I don't feel very claustrophobic. It's a nice time. Let's take this thing for a drive. Driving the Accord Hybrid. This thing is really quiet. It's fun, obviously, with that hybrid system. It kicks into electric mode sometimes, and so it just sits there with that nice idle sound. And now, if that bugs you that there's no engine noise, I'm sure you wouldn't notice with a podcast or music playing, but I like it. It's kind of a cool thing that adds on to how smooth this car already feels. The transmission just shifts between gears flawlessly. It does not hunt. It just upshifts and downshifts just wonderfully, and comes to a stop really well here. The braking is really nice, and I get it. I get why my extended family all have had Honda Accords. My mom has had a Honda Accord. My dad's dad has a Honda Accord. My grandpa, I guess I should say grandpa. My grandpa has a Honda Accord on my dad's side. My grandpa on my mom's side has a Honda Accord, and it seems like everybody somehow, one way or the other, thank you blind spot monitoring, one way or the other ends up with a Honda Accord at some point in their life, and it's just a really neat car. It's simple. It doesn't have a lot of frills, but I think a lot of people purchase it because they don't need all the crazy features and all the super performance sports things. I think a lot of people just want a simple car that it's going to be reliable, that's going to work, and it's comfortable, with buttons that are easy to get to, a display screen that makes sense, and it isn't over-cluttered. Drives great. You know that you don't need this video for me to convince you that buying a Honda Accord is a good idea. All right, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video, but before I go, I'd like to mention that I am a Christian, and if you have any prayer requests, I would love if you could leave those in the comment section below. Being able to pray for people is so wonderful. And I'd like to close out with a weekly scriptural reading, a little bit different than my joke in the intro. This is going to be John 14:1. Let not your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. That's Jesus speaking there, saying about how he's the only way to the Father. And so accepting Jesus into your heart is the true way to follow God and to have a relationship with him. So I'll see you guys next time. Take care.